Welcome. And we will open this meeting with the land acknowledgement. The land that Eureka rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Chirujiji. Past actions by local, state, and federal governments removed the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threatened to destroy their cultural practices. The city of Eureka acknowledged the Wiyot community, their elders both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates the city's commitment to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. And do we have a report out of closed session?
Good evening, Mayor. No report out of closed session tonight.
Thank you. All right, so if we could have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Castellano?
Here.
Councilmember Moulton?
Here.
Councilmember Fernandez is absent. Councilmember Bauer?
Here.
Councilmember Contreras-Deloche?
Here.
Mayor Burgell?
Here. And would all who care to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And for today, I'm really excited about our mayor's announcements. We have with us today Jessica Morshart from Grant Elementary with her team. If you want to come up, this is regarding their Great Kindness Challenge that they had at Grant School. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Brakeman, and I am the proud principal of Grant Elementary. And with me today, I have Jessica Morshart, our Community Schools Liaison. In the audience, we have our Community Schools Director, Rhonda Evans, our Student Services Coordinator, Lisa Clausen, and we do have one of our Board of Trustees who's kind of wearing two hats tonight, Lisa Olivier, and our Superintendent, Gary Stortz, is on his way. He was taking care of some final business.
So we also wanted to talk about our wellness center that we've been doing with Eureka City Schools, and the vision of Eureka City Schools, community schools, support sites as a hub of health and learning that promotes the interconnection relationships of children, families, and community partners. These relationships are honored by building partnerships and culturally responsive support teams that help our physical and mental health with our restorative practice support specialists. They help build relationships in the school community by running community circles, providing mediation, and managing students' restorative plans using a trauma-informed lens. We also provide a second step curriculum that helps students build social emotional skills like nurturing positive relationships, managing emotions, and setting goals so they can thrive in school and life. We also help with academic achievement. We provide a multi-tier support system, a framework designed to meet the needs of all students by ensuring that students optimize data-driven decision-making, progress monitoring, and evidence-based supports and strategies with increasing intensity to support students' growth. We also provide a student success team, positive team oriented approach to assessing students that may need support related to academic, behavior, and social emotional. We also provide transportation for any student that is McKinney-Vento to attend school to and from daily. Another thing we do is care for students' social and emotional well-being and create belonging with our wellness center. It's a space for students to come and regulate, to be ready to learn. It's a safe space to express feelings and work out our differences with friends and peers. We also have a social worker that assists with mental health and wellness and connects families to needed support. And during that time, we also had a kindness week happen.
So Jessica talked a little bit about what we do every day. We loved having school-wide events that we can celebrate, and one of those is the Great Kindness Challenge. Last year was Grant's first time participating in the Great Kindness Challenge. We were one of 7,000 schools in the state of California that participated. The Great Kindness Challenge is a proactive way to increase social emotional learning focused on preventing bullying and engaging students in helping support a positive school climate. We looked this year at making our event even bigger with inviting community members. Some of those members that came from our student leadership planning events, we had Humboldt Bay Fire Department, College of the Redwoods entire football team came, Mayor Kim Burgell, the Sheriff's Department, and I have to say the Sheriff's Department and Mayor Kim were getting autographs signed. They were celebrities in the eyes of our students. And we also had Big Brothers, Big Sisters. This event was put on not just by Jessica, our community schools liaison, but our student leadership consisting of 4th and 5th grade students. They selected the Spirit Day themes for our dress up days. They chose kindness quotes that were read to our school each day. And they also acted in participating in a school-wide Great Kindness Challenge, Spread Kindness Like Confetti project. So all of our staff, students, and all of the community members that came were able to also complete a kindness confetti piece that is on display in our office. We also have that with last year's kindness chain link. So we're keeping those from year to year. We also had some of our Eureka City Schools cabinet members and school board members came into the classrooms and read books about kindness and also hung out with students during their academic day. Blue Lake Rancheria came and did a kindness activity in our expanded learning program that takes place after school. The students came up with different ways to help pay veterinarian bills as a project-based approach. We look forward to expanding this Great Kindness Challenge next year and bringing more community members and helping make a meaningful positive impact on our school climate. And we are unable to stay at the rest of the city council meeting tonight as we have a PTA fundraiser at Roundtable Pizza. So it is our PTA Roundtable Pizza takeover. So that is open until 9 o'clock tonight if you would like to contribute.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Comments? I just really want to appreciate the work that you're doing with our kids, and I want to appreciate Eureka City Schools as a whole, this whole business of the Wellness Center and really looking at mental health in different facets, and having the kids be involved in their own narrative is really important. So I just want to appreciate you guys both for being here and all the good work you do, and you guys too.
Thank you.
So
We also want to do a quick thank you to Leslie for coming and helping with our 100th day of school parade.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your pizza. Okay, and next, boy, it's just more and more exciting news. Next up, we have Little Saplings. It is the 5th year celebration or anniversary, and we have Nancy Danelle, Shannon Fazio, and of course, we would be remiss to not mention and bring forward our past mayor, Susan Seaman, who had so much to do and dedicated herself to this particular item. So thank you so much. Come on up, Councilman or past mayor.
And just give me a moment. I'm trying to share the screen. I don't know where he is. I don't know if he caught it. Wait. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Shannon Fazio. In addition to my executive assistant duties, I'm also the supervisor of Little Saplings Preschool. And I'm so very happy to introduce our Little Saplings director, Nancy Daniel, and of course, oh, you just sat down, former Mayor Susan Seaman. It's so nice to see you. I'm super excited that she's here for this. So we're here with you to share the excitement that Little Saplings is approaching its 5-year anniversary in March of 2024. And we wanted to, oh, no, it's not. Here we go. So how it began is Little Saplings operates out of the John Ryan Youth Center, which used to be an after-school program, summer camp, and community class venue for, I would say, at least a dozen years. We began repurposing the facility along with securing the state license beginning in March of 2018. And in March of 2019, we welcomed our first family. Little Saplings started with just 4 families, and today we have served over 94 families. So how it's going, Nancy is going to share with you a little bit about this collage of photos that we put together to give you a snapshot of what happens at Little Saplings.
Hi, everyone. First of all, just look at the fun. Look at that fun that we have every day. at Little Saplings, we have a program where we offer a play-based curriculum. If you play-based, hands-on, because we feel that it's very important for kids to learn through play. It kind of is cliche right now, everyone says that, but they definitely learn through play and hands-on activities. Let's see, kind of went off my thing here. So we foster independence. We foster teaching children how to be kind, like the kindness program, and showing empathy towards others. And we also make sure that what they get every day is going to help them move along. We try to meet them where they are right now, but keeping in mind that they're going to be part of a bigger community once they leave us. Right now, we serve approximately 18 to 20 families a day from ages from ages 2.5 through 5. Let's see, we have 2 classes. We started out with 1 class, and now we have a second class. So we have the pine cones, who are older children, and the twigs, who are the younger kids. So our playground has just evolved. You can see that we've had mud play, we've planted fairy gardens, we have science activities, and really activities that they have fun with every day.
So we are celebrating 5 years in March, and we would like to extend an invitation to the mayor and the council to join us as we celebrate serving the families of Eureka for 5 years. We will send you a date as soon as we settle on one. And we just wanted to thank you, your teachers, Katie, Whitney, and Kimberly, as well as our director, Nancy. And then Nancy's going to share what's next.
What's next? Well, we look forward to continuing to enroll families, not only of the community of Eureka, but also families of the employees of City of Eureka. We are looking forward to getting full enrollment and getting our capacity up. We are looking forward definitely to more family events. We stalled for a minute with COVID, but we're back on track for that. As well as we have some new playground equipment that we're waiting to get installed. We have an awesome backyard, and it just keeps getting better. Let's see and just to continue thriving and offering great early childhood education to the children in the community.
Is there anything you would like to share, former Mayor Sanders?
Are you done?
Yeah, come on up.
Sure.
I was so happy when Mayor Burgell asked me to come today, because this is truly something that was so special to me, but I cannot take credit for it. It was underway when I came on the council. So I have gifts, one for Shannon, who is the innovator, the one who saw the need for this even before COVID, when the rest of the world woke up to the need for childcare. And then one for Nancy, because it's not enough just to have our kids in care. It's important to have them in care where they're getting the proper development. And so how fortunate are we in Eureka to have a program like this for our employees? Miles, you get an attaboy for supporting Shannon in her efforts to do this, because it really did take somebody to say, yeah, go ahead, that's a pretty crazy idea. Right now, we're the only city in our region that has this. I don't think that's going to be for very long. I'm going to keep sending people to you, Shannon. So
Please do.
And I will just say, I think maybe the new playground equipment might be through a program that we've been working with at AEDC. As you know, we got $4.8 million. The county has devoted that to support the child care industry. We're doing that through a whole lot of ways. Hiring bonuses for people who are going into child care, for retention bonuses, people who worked through COVID and just really under incredible circumstances and not making very much money, because they'd have to, shrink the number of kids they could serve. So we're supporting them that way. We have facility loans, which is paying for things like playground equipment for different facilities that are forgiven once that improvements are made. And in the coming year, we're going to be looking at education and parent stipend programs. So far, we have given away $1.5 million of that 4.8. And here's our annual report if you want to see where it went.
Take that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And I'm so glad that you guys continue to really honor the work Nancy is doing at Little Saplings. So thanks.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? No?
Can I just add
Go
one
ahead.
thing? Sorry about that through the mayor. I really want to thank preschool teacher Danelle. She's been outstanding. This was definitely an innovative project. It's been huge for us not only to serve the community, but more so in terms of recruitment and retention. I know that I moved up here out of Southern California after going to college here because of childcare issues, and the fact that we offer this free for our employees has been a great tool for us, not only for recruiting but also for retaining employees. And I want to thank preschool teacher Danelle, Nancy, for all your hard work, and of course Shannon for getting this up and running. We are state certified. It wasn't an easy task, and it's been a huge benefit to not only the city and its employees but the community as well.
Wonderful. Well, what I can say is when I would walk to work, I would see the kids. I can tell you that the kids are very happy. They're just joyous, running around, jumping like crazy. Yes.
Very loud.
Adorable, I think would be the word. So,
We have very patient neighbors.
yeah. Oh, Councilmember Moulton, did you have a question?
Not a question, but a comment. As someone who my kid went to Little Saplings, and I just wanted to attest to what a value that is as a working mom, but also to the quality of Little Saplings as a school. My kid, like me, is a handful, so I just really appreciate all the great staff there and all the continual improvements and the educating the parents and engaging everybody. It was just it was a wonderful experience, even though I only got to go there for a few months before kindergarten. But I was so pleased, and I'm really proud, and I hope we continue to be able to do this for all of our families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you so much for being
Thank
here,
you.
and congratulations. Always wonderful to see you, Madam Mayor. Okay. Well, I think I'll save my reports till the end too. I only have a few, but because we have a lot of presentations. And our next presentation will be with Chief Robertson, Humboldt Bay Fire, for your annual report. We're going to move you up from city manager's reports. There was an unexpected commitment that he needs to be at, so that's what we're going to do.
There you go.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for moving me up in the calendar tonight. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for moving me up in the agenda tonight. I just wanted to give a brief report of our 2023 year in review. This is a report I provided to the JPA in January, and I'll be providing to Humboldt Fire Protection District Number 1 in their regular meeting in March. We continue to see an increase in calls for service. Again, generally seeing the same dispersion of categories with rescue or EMS or medical calls around 63%, fires around 3 to 4%, and our other categories, good intent calls, false alarm, and service calls make up the majority of our other responses for a total of 7,400 for the year. As a reminder, we use the National Fire Incident Reporting System that is collected at the National Fire Academy in Maryland. All fire departments report this information the same way, so it's consistent. Fires are obvious, as well as rescue and medical calls, but service calls and good intents are something we respond to a lot of, and they include public service assistance, agency assist, burn complaints, etc. And then good intent calls is when we get dispatched but canceled, or we go to the wrong place and it's not as reported. Within our fire calls, we have a pretty wide range of responses we go to. We did see a decrease in our structure fires this year, from around 40 to 20. And then the other fires, we consistently see that throughout our jurisdiction, with vegetation fires and garbage fires being a lot of things we respond to. For our rescues, that includes motor vehicle accidents and extrications. We do continue to have quite a bit of water rescue calls. Often we don't have rescues because they're not as reported, but we do provide assistance to law enforcement around the Bay. And we have our predominant calls being medicals, totaling 3,861 for the year. It's interesting to compare our 5 stations throughout our jurisdiction to see how their call volume is different. But generally speaking, through the 4 quarters, Station 1, which is our downtown station, has the highest volume of calls, followed by Station 3 on Henderson, Station 4 on Myrtle, Station 5 across from Redwood Acres, and Station 2 out on Herrick Avenue. And within those 5 stations through the 4 quarters, we do see a trend where in the 4th and 1st quarter, we generally see an increase in calls, and that's when the seasons change. People are using more heating, people are getting a bit more sick, so that's the general reason for those calls increasing. And through the last several years, we do continue to see our call volume increase. There is some fluctuation. But generally, we're seeing things trend upwards as we just have more population in the area and things continue to get busier. Last year and the last couple of years and continuing into this year, we continue to have staffing challenges. We lost 5 personnel to other agencies last year on top of the 9 we lost in 2022. The biggest issue we're seeing is it's an average of 11 years of service, so just losing a vast amount of experience. That's continuing into this year, where I've been notified that another 2 people are in backgrounds, so we unfortunately may see more folks leave. That has created a significant gap in our promoted positions that require a lot of training and experience, the captain and engineer ranks. We were unable to fill certain of those positions, and unfortunately had to close some of our stations last year for a short time. But this pushed us to look at being a bit innovative with some of our training practices as well as recruitment. We currently have open recruitment for firefighter and engineer, and last year we saw an unprecedented open recruitment for every rank. That was successful, but again, we're dealing with a very different labor market than we ever have before. We modified our training programs so that people could promote more easily early on in their career, so create much more of a development program as opposed to the competitive programs we have seen in the past. And that's been successful, especially at the captain rank. We currently have 2 permanent and 1 temporary positions vacant, and as I said, we expect that to increase, but we're working to mitigate that. We're also really excited about a partnership with College of the Redwoods, who are developing an accredited firefighter academy. We've had several of our personnel, some of whom are here tonight, who instruct in the academy. It's started ostensibly as an academy for CAL FIRE and the Forest Service, so more of a trade to get a seasonal job, but they expanded for structural firefighting. We're considered the subject matter experts in the area, so it's been a real benefit to the academy to have our folks instruct. And I was personally thanked this week by the associate coordinator of that program for our folks' work. With all of the resignations, we have had a lot of new members. Again, excited that some of them are here tonight in the audience. But we continue to be recruiting firefighters. However, that labor pool is shrinking because almost every other department in the state is looking for firefighters, and there's a general shortage everywhere. we're also seeing when we do hire firefighters or interview them, they have almost no experience. They come right out of an academy, and so it just requires a lot more training, and it requires us to be doing a lot more training after their initial training as well. So it just puts a burden on the whole organization. We were very fortunate with our open battalion chief position to have a previous employee come back. He had resigned as a captain and came back as a battalion chief, and just added a huge amount of experience, and is a new training chief, and he's a great training instructor, so we're very fortunate with that. We did have a lot of our people step into new positions, take on new training. A lot of this training is anywhere from 2 years worth for our paramedics to 6 weeks for hazmat, to all the different levels of training. And all of this requires the entire organization to work together to support those folks who are doing training and also do the training for them. So I'm just really appreciative of all of our staff stepping up and taking on those responsibilities and helping us continue to provide the service that we do. We did have a great event in June where we recognized our award winners at a special dinner. We presented awards for Firefighter of the Year to Firefighter Yolam Tolbin, Service Award to our Executive Secretary, Jenna Harris, the Medal of Honor to Engineer Tyler Gillespie, and the Citizen Award to Natalie D. of Happy Donuts. This is a peer voting award where everybody's asked who they'd like to provide their awards to. And Natalie gets that award because, as I'm sure everybody knows, that she's an immense community booster, I like to think, where she's always ready to support everyone with donuts and a very happy, enthusiastic smile, and we really appreciate all of her support. But it was a great evening, and it's really important to recognize the accomplishments of the people we have, because they always go way above and beyond what's expected and make us the quality place we are. We did have a couple of new initiatives. 2 years ago, one of our fire captains in this picture with me, Brett Christensen, had an idea to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month by having a special t-shirt. Initially that was only for our folks, but people really liked the look of it, and so he created a new t-shirt that we could also sell to the public, and that became a fundraiser, and they raised over $2,000 for the Cancer Crushers, and this is an initiative through the Firefighters Union, so it was just a great initiative. We were also really excited to start our cadet program, again trying to deal with our recruitment and retention issue, looking to train and hire local firefighters that we offer the ability to intern with us. They come in with no training, starting at 18 years, and in 2 years our goal is to get them all the qualifications they need to get higher on with us. We started with 4 and are down to 3, and the cadet firefighter pictured here, Raul, is an example of the success of this program. Within a year, he's already completed his EMT. Well, actually, he's working on it right now. He's working towards completing it. But he's a regular at training. He's getting his tasks done so that he can be qualified for a Firefighter 1 and hopefully take our test. So it's just really exciting to see that and look at the benefits of that homegrown program into the future. We had another successful toy drive. We're just very happy that it's so well supported. And with all of the training and the specialty work that was done, we had a pretty huge year of training. That's over 2,000 hours more than the year before, culminating in a live fire training exercise out at Humboldt Hill. We don't get to do those very often, and it was just a great opportunity for our newer firefighters. But everybody is putting in a massive amount of work to maintain and increase their training. And to finish off, we do have quite a few exciting projects coming up. We are getting a new tiller truck and an engine as part of our apparatus replacement program. We are looking at remodels for stations 1, 2, and 3. in conjunction with the cadet firefighter program, we're also starting a junior firefighter program. We're having a soft start with that, extending or inviting Humboldt Bay Fire families and City of Eureka personnel families to let us know if they're interested, so we can have a pilot program and then develop it from there, because it's just a huge opportunity to inform people that this is a great career, it's a great community career, and it's something that, you know, you can have a really positive effect on where you live. And lastly, we're starting a rural address and water tank identification program, more in our unhydrated areas in the district, in the greater Eureka area, just looking to improve that capability there. That concludes my report, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Chief. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing no one, we appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, and our final presentation of this evening. By the way, these guys are rock stars. We should give them a turn around, Sean. Our firefighters keep us safe. We're so blessed to have them. So for our final presentation, we will have a presentation by the Human Rights Commission. Jim Glover, if you'd please come forward. Nice to see you.
Nice to see all of you too. I'm really pleased with the emphasis tonight on youth, yes, and particularly on kindness, because what I'm going to talk to you about is kind of the flip side of kindness and what we can do about it. Today I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting doing a similar presentation, and I thought everything was going so well, and then in public comment, where the board members didn't have any opportunity to respond, somebody decided to take some real cheap shots at one of the supervisors. And that's the segue into my presentation today, because there isn't a person in this room that hasn't heard of or been the target of hateful statements that are not only fear-provoking, but downright untrue. Today, more often than we would like, hate speech is masquerading as free speech. Yep. How in the world can we tell which is which? And what can we do to protect our people and our communities from falling victim to racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, xenophobic, hate-filled speech and debate? The Humboldt County Human Rights Commission is teaming up with the League of Women Voters of Humboldt to conduct a free public educational forum on this very topic. We will feature 6 representative panelists who will try to shed some light on how to recognize hate speech and how to respond to it. On Wednesday, February 21st, from 4 to 6 p.m., this free forum will work to empower our citizens to speak freely but respectfully to one another. The forum will be videotaped and rebroadcast on Access Humboldt and may be followed by similar small events to build on the progress made at this first forum. On behalf of the sponsors, I encourage every council member here tonight and everybody watching long distance or in the room to join us for this event. This is a conversation that needs to happen, and it needs you to help make it happen. Remember, Sequoia Conference Center, 901 Myrtle Avenue, 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 21st. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Seeing none.
Okay. I do hope that you got copies of the flyer. Okay, good enough. Thanks.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. All right, this moves us to my favorite time of the meeting, public comment. This is the time for members of the public who wish to be heard on matters that do not appear on the agenda. City Council policy is to limit each speaker to 3 minutes. Such time allotment or portion thereof shall not be transferred to other speakers. The public will be allowed to speak concurrently with the calling of an agenda item following the staff presentation of that item. Excuse me. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on an item that does not appear on the agenda. And if you are here for public comment, you can come up and line up on the side here. Come on up, Michelle. He's a gentleman. He'll let you go first.
Hi, Mayor and board members. I'm back. My name's Michelle Norton. I'm actually here to ask for your help. So from what I understand is that the government agencies conduct regular surveys to check for poor road conditions. I would assume that the city conducts the same. I am officially requesting for these records. I would like to examine them and determine whether someone previously located poor road conditions that caused my injury or others on H&I. I tripped on the Eureka notorious potholes on December 23rd, 2023 in the crosswalk at the corner of H and 6th Street. The impact was so forceful that it slammed my face so hard down on that asphalt that I immediately went into shock. I am very, very thankful that the Firestone crew came over and helped me. They came to my rescue, helping me through this traumatic experience. I am forever grateful to them for the wonderful service that they provided to me during that emergency. I went to urgent care, who immediately referred me to the emergency room. I needed to be scanned for any facial breaks or hemorrhaging. I was cleared of any broken bones or internal bleeding. Thank goodness, where I hit is exactly what saved my nose or any breaks. I got lucky. Next, I filed 2 complaints to the city, bringing awareness to the hazardous area. Upon further inspections in the area, sadly to say, there are 2 brand new constructed bulb outs right there in that same location on H and 6th. So the city pays a professional construction crew to go out there and build these bulb outs right there, and yet they too failed to report the same hazardous area to the city. That bulb out is right here, and I fell right here, and it was 88 inches away from that bulb out. It was 18 inches long. It was only 1 inch deep, and that's what took me down. Sorry, I'm trying to hurry. So they are the second pair of eyes, especially since you're paying for them to be there. They specialize in this field, they should know. Next, the California Intergovernmental Risk Authority, aka CIRA, the adjuster advised to me that I needed to find prior complaints filed in order for the city to be liable to help me with these medical bills. Damn it.
You have 30 seconds, Michelle.
So I'm going on record. I have been seriously injured on 6th and 8th Street on December 23rd of 2023. I am asking for the public's help. Has anyone filed complaints with the city before December 23rd, 2023, filing complaints of the hazardous area? I won't know unless I ask, and I'm asking. Finally, I would like to thank the city for at least going out there and fixing that hole. They fixed that hole between December 23rd and January 8th.
Thank you, Michelle. Your
time's
time's up.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
They got out there.
Welcome, Mr. Parr.
Well, good to see you all again, I guess, maybe. I had something else I was going to start out with, but after the presentation by the Human Rights Commission, I was reminded of the rank hypocrisy of that commission, considering the vitriol, the hatred, the contempt, the physical and physical threats and threats on my life that I received after coming out in public down here as the butt porker. And it's funny that nobody defends me. If y'all want to move ahead with this hate speech resolution, you need to make it across the board. Y'all seem to have, no problem expressing hatred towards people you don't agree with. But you expect us to keep our mouths shut when we don't agree with you. So I think y'all need to reel it in a little bit. Beyond that, what I actually came down here to say was I've lived next to 2030 Park for 13 years now. And I've been cleaning up the city's garbage out there because people seem to think that the area out back beyond my house is a garbage dump. And I don't like garbage outside my fence, so I've been cleaning it up and disposing of it at my expense for 13 years. And here a few months ago, I got a nasty letter from the city threatening me with legal action if I didn't clean my mess up. I assumed it was regarding that stuff because I've been ill, as you all know, for the last 2 years. And I haven't had the time or the energy to clean up the city's mess for 2 years, and so it's been building up. So I assumed that the threatening letter was regarding that. Come to find out, it was regarding the garbage that I had loaded up in my truck, parked it out front, and hadn't had time to deal with anymore. But the upshot of it all was, I assumed the whole thing was retaliatory harassment for me coming down and giving you guys a hard time. But the upshot of it all was that I ended up getting a dumpster out of the deal. And the problem is that I loaded the dumpster up and only got rid of about half of what I needed. I called the lady back that coordinated the dumpster, and she's not returned my call. So I figured I'd come down here and make an official request that y'all harass me some more and send me another threatening letter and provide another dumpster because I got more stuff I want to get rid of. So considering that I never got any response for the previous request that I've made 3 times, I'm not looking, forward to getting any action out of this. But maybe you all could do both things, Give me the survey I requested from 5 years ago and harass me some more. I need another dumpster.
Thank you, Mr. Parr.
My name's Jeff Harris, and I'm on Myrtletown. Okay, so last time was making reference to an itinerant population that's prone to drug addiction, prone to criminal behavior, and in many cases is not sane. And in reference to this, I'm going to share an article from the New York Times entitled "Sacramento is Sued Over Homeless Camps as Tensions Rise." And this article is dated September 19th, 2023. I'll say more about this in future sessions, but this is a problem that's national and particularly a problem in California, including this area. All right. So the lawsuit filed by the county district attorney is the latest sign of frustrations over tent encampments in the state. The city of Sacramento was sued on Tuesday by the top prosecutor of the surrounding county, who said that California's capital had suffered an utter collapse into chaos because city authorities were not doing enough to remove homeless people from the streets. I was born in Sacramento, so I'm interested in this. The lawsuit is the latest sign of mounting frustration over homelessness in California, where encampments have become a fixture of downtown streets and freeway rights of way. District Attorney Tian Ho of Sacramento County asserted in the suit that lax enforcement of city ordinance has left homeless people to suffer in third world squalor and neighboring residents to endure hazards and threats of violence. City officials swiftly denounced the suit as political acts driven by disgruntled local business interests and an opportunistic prosecutor who left office less than a year ago. I don't agree with that, considering the issues we've seen in Sacramento, we've seen in Portland, we've seen in Seattle. This is a regional issue and a national issue. Even so, the complaint filed by a Democratic district attorney against a Democratic-led city highlighted a broadening impatience, even in areas dominated by liberal voters, with homeless camps and with progressive policies and court rulings that have thwarted their removal. More than 170,000 people are homeless in California, accounting for about 1/3 of the nation's homeless population. More than 115,000 of those 170,000 Californians sleep on the streets, in cars, in tents, or outdoors in places not intended for humans, according to a federal tally of homelessness conducted last year. And just from personal experience, I've noticed that the people who don't even have vehicles but are out on the street, they tend to be more problematic in their interactions. This makes homelessness a more visible crisis in California than in places like New York City, where residents without permanent housing typically live indoors because of right to shelter laws. In several large California cities, camps sprawl across sidewalks, overwhelm parks, and deter the public from visiting riverbanks and beaches. Lawyers and activists representing homeless people say the state has failed to provide enough housing for its most desperate residents, and that many working people have been forced to sleep in tents or in their vehicles because they cannot afford affordable places to live. I'll continue this later.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there anyone else from the audience that came to speak at public comment? Okay, seeing no one, we'll look to Zoom. Do you see anybody on Zoom, Shane?
Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak to public comment? Please raise your hand. I see none.
Okay, seeing no one, we will close public comment and move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under this category are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. Pursuant to City Council Resolution 2011-22, if a member of the public would like an item of the consent calendar pulled and discussed separately, the request shall be made to a council member prior to the meeting. Unless a specific request is made by a council member, the consent calendar will not be read. There will be no separate discussion of these items. And I know F2 is being pulled. Is that all? If yes, can we get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. Please vote.
Councilmember Fernandez absent. Unanimous yes vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Which brings us to F2, modify first-time homebuyer agreements. Director K. Ray and Millar. Not director. Sorry.
Good evening. I don't have a presentation prepared for this item, but I'm here to take any questions on the item.
Okay. So I believe it was Councilmember Contreras-Deloche that had this pulled. Did you have some questions?
Mainly, I wanted it to be, I don't have questions left over anymore, and I'm not, but I kind of was hoping that we could kind of explain it a little bit better since there's, for the public.
Sure. So many years ago, the city had had two entities. There was the city of Eureka and the city's redevelopment agency. The redevelopment agency was able to collect a portion of the property taxes to be used for essentially economic development. And a lot of those monies were used to create loans, such as first-time homebuyer loans or rehab loans. And the city was able to create different loan agreements to provide funding to the community. And in some cases, or there were, I wasn't here, so I don't really have the exact history, but as you look at these agreements, you might notice some differences. And we recently noticed a difference between agreements that were made in 2001 versus 2003. And we, based on how the market has changed, we decided that we would want to take something to council to modify the agreements that happened prior to 2003 so that they would have the same conditions as the loans that were made after that time.
Councilmember Castellano?
Sure, and I know the answer to this question, but just I think it's a good clarification. And so, there are 37 kind of total homebuyer loans out there in the community, and only six of the existing homebuyer loans have kind of had this special clause in which basically they're not benefiting from the impacts of the growth in the market on their homes, right?
So we actually have more loans on the books. This was just a subset from the redevelopment agency.
Okay.
And we didn't comb through every single loan agreement. We just found the difference between two of them and noticed that one had an option, whereas the other one didn't have that option. So that's what we'd like to correct, or not correct, but to modify going forward, because 20 years is a long time, and the economics change and home values have certainly gone way up. So the calculations that were maybe more attractive 20 years ago aren't attractive today. And we think it's the intent of the program wasn't to essentially create large interest revenue windfalls And essentially, without this change, that's what you might see in some cases.
And just for clarification for the public, these agreements that we're trying to correct that had a certain clause that was based solely on appreciation. And so when Director Millard talks about revenue, he's referring to the city, that the intent of these were not for the city to recoup a bunch of revenue from these loans that we had received. And so for these loans that solely have appreciation, if they had this property for over 20 years, 20 plus years, there's a lot of equity built up in it. These agreements that we're trying to adjust would require them to pay us a certain percentage of that appreciation, as opposed to just an interest based on what we loan them. And there's a huge difference between what the city would recoup if we were to stick with these. And we didn't feel it was fair to those folks, nor was it the intent of the program when it was brought forward.
Councilmember Contreras-Deloche.
So how many people does this affect? I don't actually have numbers on that. How many loans?
Yes, is approximately 6 would now have these two options of the different calculations.
And those are existing loans, not necessarily people coming to us and trying to sell their property. We've had somebody who recently tried to sell their property, and we know for one that this is going, well, we did another method to adjust it, but if somebody didn't sell their property, it wouldn't make a difference. You know, now if somebody, one of those 6 people that Director Merlot is talking about, was to sell their property, this could benefit them, correct?
Correct. But that wouldn't mean that they would take that option. There are lots of different scenarios, and by providing an additional option, it's not going to hurt anybody, but it certainly would benefit a few.
Councilmember Contreras-Deloche.
I'm curious how old some of these loans are and what we've been doing in the past when someone was wanting to sell. How have we navigated that previously?
I'm not certain on the oldest loan. One of the ones that faced difficulties was signed back in 2001. And then we typically don't see many issues around the payoffs. There has been no problem navigating the payoffs until this point. It's just the market conditions have changed so much in the last few years that I think this is why this option has become problematic.
And we are aware of one person who had a loan similar to this that was intending on selling their property, and at the time, different management, different staff were holding them to those terms, and that person chose not to sell their property.
So go ahead.
So when you say there wasn't an issue with it previously, or I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly how you just phrased that. Do you mean that no one raised a concern about it?
Correct.
When they were selling their property?
I've been overseeing the housing division. I haven't come across somebody that's pointed out the difference and how that could negatively affect them or change their change the decision where they're not selling the home.
Do we have an idea about how many of those sales have occurred with that condition?
We don't necessarily have an exact figure about how many people sold without this condition.
I have one last question. With that, where there is this significant more money that would be coming back to the city, where does that go and what does that influence? And I would like to understand that.
So based on the loan, or there's many different versions of these loans, but in this case, because the monies originated from the redevelopment agency, which is now referred to as the successor agency, and the monies from the successor agency they're regulated in their own way. So for loans that get paid off, they go back into what is called the housing successor, and those funds are restricted to funding housing developments or shelter. So in some cases, we've used those monies to provide grants to the Betty Chin Foundation. So the monies get restricted in a way that they have to go back into some sort of housing or housing adjacent activity.
Okay, so I want to just make sure that I'm clear. So under that, for the people that are in that current thing, that hasn't really previously been a deterrent for people selling, and that has helped fund some other projects that, or other programs that help with housing. It also does not, if I understand correctly, negatively impact, well, they're not losing money on their properties. It's that if their property has appreciated, that a portion of that appreciation comes back to the city. Correct?
Correct.
But this would allow them to choose that option or to choose another option, which would just be based off the interest. So if they don't have that, they have an option. It's better for anybody to make that pick.
Consistent with what it changed to in 2003. Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Any further questions? Seeing none. Oh, are there any on Zoom?
I see none on Zoom.
Seeing none on Zoom. Then we'll open this up for public comment. Come on up, Mr. Haroldson. Welcome.
Hi, greetings. My name is Bernie Haroldson. I'm a real estate broker, and I do know the history of this program because
the timer's not
the person that's most affected by this.
Excuse me one moment. For Shannon, the timer's not set. Carry on.
Anyway, I just want to thank the city staff for moving this forward and making this recommendation because as the summary says, it's all boiled down to this adjustment aims to provide equitable treatment for all first-time homebuyer loan recipients in Eureka. And I was an example in two cases where I worked with buyers that had both of these programs. The first one is with me tonight in the audience, Mr. Ray DeSoto, and I helped him purchase his home in 2001 with the assistance of this program. And $15,000 in 2001 was a good chunk of money on the price of a new home. He bought his home for $110,000. He wishes to downsize and sell it now. I estimate if I was going to list that home, probably put it on the market for $425,000. His agreement stipulates that half of the equity, half, it's not a portion. I mean, a half is a portion, but I mean, if you calculate the costs and his loan payoff, he could easily pay $160,000 to the city to pay off a $15,000 loan in 2001. So then I represented buyers in 2003, and the program had changed to this 3%, which is a very generous. I mean, this is a great program. The people around at that time and the development agency and the city, they helped a lot of people, and that was work. That was good work. And in their case, they were able to borrow $50,000, and in 2003, they refinanced their home in 2012. And their $50,000 loan payoff, when you added 3% over 9 years, they paid, I think, $64,000. So they paid about $14,000 in interest. So the idea is, on this particular loan, this little $15,000 loan, I calculated the interest over those, it's a 23-year-old loan now, would be about $30,000 to the city, which he's glad to pay. That's very reasonable and modest, and that fulfills the intent. This is what other people later on were able to get. So I'm really in favor of this, and I hope that, you know, the council would just, you know, pass it as a matter of the consent agenda. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Haroldson. Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you. Just want to thank the city for giving an opportunity for my wife and I to raise 3 sons, very low income 20 years ago. So now I'm 69 years old. I'm still in a unfortunately at a modest income, and I'm trying to downsize and set myself up going in retirement. But I'm faced with shifting to a smaller place. Prices are really high. So I have this $15,000 loan, and as Mr. Helson said, you know, I could be paying as much as $160,000 of my equity, you know, so it's not like I'm going to be cashing in on all this. The equity represents my life. I mean, by the grace of God, I've never missed a payment, and I've maintained the property for the city's sake and for my sake, and I'm just trying to move into retirement, just an equitable basis, you know, whatever's reasonable, you know, but I'm not like angry or anything. I'm actually very thankful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Do you see anybody on Zoom, Shannon?
Is there anybody who would like to comment about this matter? Please raise your hand. I see no one.
Okay, seeing no one, we'll bring it back to council for any further comments or a motion. Councilmember Bauer?
I want to thank staff for putting this forward. It's a really good adjustment, and you know, we're not in the business of trying to make money off of people. We're trying to help people get into houses, and so with that, I got motion to approve F2.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Councilmember Fernandez absent. Unanimous yes vote. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Legislative action correspondence. Do we have some? Not yet? It'll be coming soon. We have no ordinances and resolutions. Reports and action items. This is exciting. Beta Zoo Trail Consulting Services, Director Gerving.
All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction here while City Engineer Willer gets set up. He's here with an update on the Beta Zoo Trail project, along with some history of it as well. We're recommending that Council authorize a contract with GHD for the next phase of professional services, along with the allocation of Measure H funds as match for the grant that the city received. I'm excited to highlight our new project team for the Beta Zoo Trail, which includes not only the two of us, but project manager Brittany Powell, who's here with us in the audience. She's new to Public Works and has been a great addition to the team after several years with the police department. We also have special projects manager Katie Marcelon, who spearheaded the Elk River Estuary project and saw it through to completion. As City Engineer Willer will outline, we have a lot of challenging work in front of us, but we can capitalize on a lot of the previous effort that's been put toward the project, along with the consistent vision that's been pushing it forward the whole time. We're at a really exciting juncture that should be celebrated. I mean, $9 million in funding to get the project through construction is huge. We wouldn't be here without all the support that the community and the council has given over the years. But like I said, we got a lot of work in front of us. With that, I'm going to hand it off to City Engineer Willer, and all of us are here for questions at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Very excited to be here. As Brian mentioned, this project has been a long time in the works. Staff over the years has spent a lot of effort in planning, applying for grants, and then moving to this point. So it's been a lot of effort to this point, and very exciting to be here now. So I'm here to give you an update on the project in general, a bit of background on the project, what it is, and where the project is going. And then you have a recommendation in front of you, of course, for awarding the project design and environmental document preparation at the end of the presentation. So I'll go over some background, talk a bit about the trail project and the kind of the larger aspects of what makes it up. We'll talk a bit about the current status, the funding associated with the project, and then look a little bit into what the next steps are in the implementation of this project. So what is the Beta Zoo Trail and how did it come to be? The Beta Zoo Trail is proposed as approximately 2 miles of Class 1 trail and a mile of Class 3 trail. Class 1 trail is what you'd be familiar with if you are out on the waterfront trail, a minimum, in our case, 10-foot wide paved trail with shoulders that's used to allow people to travel, in this case, along the trail corridor. And then additionally, 1 mile of Class 3. Class 3 is on the roadway. This would be, in our case, in the southern portion of the project down around Washington Elementary School, Sequoia Park, that area where you're going to have sharrows and signage, improvements to the sidewalk to improve pedestrian and cyclist access and travel in that area, including safety. This project provides access to the only grade separated crossing of 101 in the city of Eureka. So that is at the Eureka Slough where the 6th Street bridges, where those bridges cross over. That's where the existing waterfront trail goes underneath those bridges. And there are no other at grade crossings, so where you can avoid having vehicular traffic to cross when you're on the trail, whether you're a pedestrian or a cyclist. This project will provide 2 miles of separated protected path where you are not on the roadway with other vehicles, motor vehicles or the such. It creates important connections. It connects to schools in Zane and Washington. It also connects to medical near the complex for the hospitals over on Harrison. It encourages and promotes multimodal and active transportation. And in this way, a large connection to a project that's coming real soon to us is the Humboldt Bay Trail, which should be in construction this summer on our section in a much more significant way than it was in this last year. So the anticipation is that project will be complete and this one will come and be able to connect to it. This project also provides intersection crossing improvements at Myrtle Avenue, Boone, and Harris. When did the project originate? Back in 2000, City Council created the Eureka Trails Committee. The Trails Committee discussed greenbelt trails through Eureka and the gulches that would connect schools, neighborhoods to the waterfront. Using that general topography of those gulches that kind of start in the south and head to the north and east and west and radiate out through the city to the waterfront. In 2016 and 17, the schools and the city officially identified the Beta Zoo Trail as a Safe Routes to School project. And in 2018, City Council designated the Beta Zoo Trail as a strategic visioning goal, and that goal has been in the strategic visioning documents for years to come after that point. How does the trail serve as a connection for multimodal uses? It provides connections to the waterfront trail and the future Humboldt Bay Trail. Connects to Sequoia Park and the surrounding neighborhoods in the south, residential neighborhoods and schools in between, St. Joseph Hospital, Open Door, future trail segments to connect possible trails in the south of Eureka, and existing and future trails and pathways to adjacent greater Eureka area, including Cutton, McKay Track, and of course, Myrtletown. What are some of the design elements? So here on this slide, we show a few different pieces of what make up the trail. In the lower portions of the trail, much like the waterfront trail, there's a lot of water and tidal flats. So we have bridges and boardwalks are incorporated in the design. There's going to be the trail itself, which is very similar to the photo in the left-hand side of this slide. Waterfront trail-esque, you'll have paved surface with widened gravel shoulders. There'll be Class 3 bike facilities, as we discussed in the southern section, where those are on-street facilities and improvements to the sidewalks to help create better, safer, and more accessible pathways in the south section down around Sequoia Park and Washington School. And then one major change is a roundabout on Myrtle Avenue. So the intersection, what you're seeing here is the intersection with McFarland and Myrtle. And this is where the trail would connect up to Myrtle coming from the Second Slough kind of lowlands there. This creates an opportunity to shorten crossing distance, to slow traffic, and to really make trail users very, to stand out and to be very visually aware to vehicles. And it also slows traffic down coming through here. Those are two things that are key in safety, is that visual aspect and then additionally slowing vehicles down. So that's a major improvement on Myrtle. I won't go into great detail, but here's a general layout of what the trail looks like, starting in the north on the left-hand side of the slide. See the open door, that's where the existing waterfront trail connects, the orange line being the proposed trail alignment. And this is all very conceptual at this point, given that we are now entering into the process, hopefully after tonight, of design, where you'd actually begin to really refine what these alignments look like. But in this case, you see the trail heads up one side of the Second Slough, crosses Myrtle at the roundabout we discussed a moment ago, and then parallels on McFarland before heading off down into the edge of Second Slough. The second panel from the left, shows that continued alignment coming up to Zane, where there's going to be connections to Zane and to the dog park and to the medical facilities there adjacent to the dog park. And then crossing Boone with an improved crossing there to, again, allow for a safer, higher visibility crossing for pedestrians and cyclists who are using the trail. And continuing along parallel to St. Joseph's Hospital and the major Class 1 trail facility ending at Russ Street. From that point, again, to the south, it would be facilities that are on existing streets with sidewalk improvements or bike facilities that are highlighted there. All right, so where are we at? I guess one quick note is we did complete a CEQA document from a grant from the Coastal Conservancy. That was completed and adopted by the Planning Commission back in September of 2021. Since then, we applied for and were successful in obtaining a active transportation grant. The city we applied for all the components of the project except for CEQA, and were awarded almost $9 million in 2023. In order to be awarded that, we made a commitment in our application to match 10% or about $1 million for that large amount. Matching funds. So, there's always a question about where's that matching fund going to come from. And currently it's been identified through Measure H dollars. And Measure H dollars, the definition for street maintenance is that these go towards street maintenance for repair and development projects annually in a minimum amount of about $2.5 million. Again, that's a minimum, and oftentimes those dollar values come in higher, and we put those dollars to the best use we can in maintaining our streets with paving and all those projects you see out there in the summer, all in the last few years. Typically, these funds go towards maintenance and repair. This year, a minimum of $1.5 million would go towards maintenance and repair, and $1 million would go to the Beta Zoo as that match for those active transportation, the state and federal dollars that we have through that grant. The trail project, and our project includes many of the aspects of what Measure H supports, such as street repair and road safety, community health services, parks and recreation. The application that we put together was very rooted in safe routes to school and also in providing access to disadvantaged communities, and that's a big part of why that application was successful. So this contribution Measure H commitment leveraged nearly $9 million in state and federal funds through the Active Transportation Program. So what is the future for the Beta Zoo Trail? in November of this year, of last year, I should say, 2023, we released a formal request for proposals for engineering and planning services for the Beta Zoo Trail project. We received one proposal at the end of the last year, and that's what we're here to recommend is awarding that proposal for our services for a contract up to $1.7 million. So after this point, once authorization to proceed is received, the project team will begin working on PA&ED, which stands for Project Acceptance and Environmental Documents, a Caltrans term, as these are funds that are state and federal transportation funds that they're administered by Caltrans. That primarily for us means NEPA, doing the National Environment Protection Act documentation that we need to do, all those studies and things that follow along with the CEQA document that we produced. And the CEQA document that was put together was very much built and constructed in a way, understanding that there was a possibility that federal funds would be on the project. So there's a lot of efficiencies in the way that we set up that CEQA document that should make NEPA a much more efficient process and quick process. We're going to re-engage with property owners in the community to bring the project back to light. There's been conversations often in the past, but it's been some time. And now that we've been awarded the funds, we need to start talking, about what this means to the region where the trail crosses, and then begin defining design and the alignment, somewhat based on those conversations and anything that might come out of the NEPA document. We really are going to make a detailed focus on community engagement and outreach and develop a robust community outreach plan. It's very important to not only engage with property owners, businesses, school district, and the hospital that's along, but also the general community at large who have an interest in the project, and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to have to weigh in on the project. Schedule-wise, we've been given authorization to proceed on our PA&ED phase. Right-of-way phase would follow along with that once we have completed NEPA. And then we would go into the completing our final plans and specifications into the end of 2026, beginning of 2026, and with an aim, a lofty goal of construction in 26 through likely 27. With a time frame of starting in May of 2026. That's a lofty goal, but one that that feels like it should be strived for. I've put the recommendation up here on the slide, but it's the same one that you have in your agenda packet. So with that, open up for any questions.
Scary, you can say staff's recommendation if you choose.
Thank you, City Manager Slattery. Do we have any questions for Mr. Willer? Councilmember Bauer.
Thank you, City Engineer Willer. Appreciate it. Great presentation. I know, and I appreciate you really trying to address the public outreach component. I just had a question about, it's been about 20 years since we started this discussion through the Transportation Committee. How much outreach have we done since 20 years, do you think, roughly, as far as presentations and whatnot?
Yeah, so I would say I haven't, since I've started, so roughly in 2016, I did start before that, but in 2016, we started a process knowing that we were interested after discussing with the school and as a staff that this might be a good project. So we opened up the dialogue at that point with contacting neighbors. That was the first round was phone calls, and then going out and while we're on looking along what is an existing sewer easement in some locations, we definitely had conversations along the way. Since that point, we acquired a grant through CalWalks Berkeley, where we had it's a kind of like a safe routes to school community meeting at Zane. So it was a public community meeting where we invited the community to come in there and discuss the trail and what it means. And a lot of it was trying to draw interest in like what could the trail be around Zane and those connections to the school. So that took place, I don't have the timeline in front of me, but 2017-ish, 2018. Since then, we've garnered a lot of support from some of the bigger stakeholders. When I say that, like the school district, they've, I think, in all 3 of the applications we've made, have provided a letter of support for the project. Also, St. Joe's Hospital, we met with them quite a bit because the trail alignment crosses through a couple of their properties, so it's a pretty long section through there. They also provided letters of support for the application. It was very important to them to have active transportation goals out there, things that would keep people from needing to use medical facilities, and that was clear. We've done quite a few presentations to, we've done a few presentations to council. We've done a few presentations to like OSPR, some of the local groups in the community when it comes to those bike and like the Humboldt Trails. Council has asked us to come in and present. We've presented at the Trails Symposium a few times. We've had community meeting. I think we've had presentations. There were community meetings at council. Those are a few. I can't remember them all. But since it's been pretty active since 2016. Before that, I think there was a pretty good gap that, as far as I'm aware of, where the topic had continually come up. But since that point, it's been pretty consistent. Because every 2 years we were applying for an active transportation grant, and we'd come here to council. We'd have meetings in the community to bring the project back to light.
Thank you.
Can I just add a couple of the, city engineer Willard did mention the city council meetings. There's also all the regulatory meetings related to the planning commission that this has gone through. There's also the overall regional transportation plan that the HCOG puts together. I think this has been a part of our trail plan within there since 2016, 2017. So every year there's a meeting related to that, and we make adjustments accordingly. And this has been a part of that too.
No, thank you. And one more follow-up to that. I know the segment from Myrtle to Boone, well, essentially from Myrtle to Boone, it's been kind of used as a social trail, I would say, right? I mean, kids use that segment from Myrtle to Zane, and then from Boone to Zane. It seems like there's quite a bit of use already. Have you guys done any kind of look at that?
Yeah, we've had, I know that in a couple different ways, certainly seen people down there walking their dogs along the alignment. We've had, some people have, where they've cut a little trail up into their property so they can get access down onto that alignment. There's also, a lot of access in and around Zane, and also from the dog park, where people come down from either way, walk their dog down through that area, from basically using those 2 access points to kind of filter down and get access through there. Number wise, I'm not sure, but I know it does get used that way.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll bring it to the public for public comment. Is anybody here to comment on this item? If so, please come forward. Hi. Welcome.
I'm Sierra Braggs. I'm a mother that lives in Henderson Center, and I have 2 boys. They're 10 and 12, and they love their independence. They love riding their bikes, and this project is really exciting because one of the things they would like to do is be able to ride to Old Town, but I don't let them because Broadway is too dangerous. So it's just a no-go, and so I'm just really excited, and I hope the city can approve it. Thanks.
Thanks, Sierra. Anyone else from Chambers? Seeing none, we'll bring it forward. Colin Fisk.
Good evening. This is Colin Fisk, CRTP, the Coalition for Responsible Transportation Priorities. Just want to say how excited we are that, again, that the city was able to receive the vast majority of funding for this project through the state's active transportation program. I don't think this was covered in the presentation, but it's our understanding it's also slated to receive funding through the Regional Transportation Improvement Program. So really, most of this will be funded through state funds, and we've supported this project for a long time. It'll be a significant improvement to the safe infrastructure for walking, biking, and rolling throughout Eureka. Of course, we also have submitted, design comments and hope for improvements, and we'll continue to do that. But overall, it's a really great project, and just encourage you to move it forward tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Is that Brett? Brett?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hi, this is Brett Gronemeyer, resident of Eureka and Vice President of the Humboldt Bay Bicycle Commuters Association. And I wanted to express my support for this project and for the funding tonight, the agenda item. As Mr. Wooler mentioned, it's this is an important connection to the Waterfront Trail and the Humboldt Bay Trail and 101, and it serves a much needed north-south bicycle corridor along the east side of Eureka. Currently, Harrison Avenue isn't always very comfortable to ride on during the week when there's lots of parked cars and a lot of traffic up and down there. And the improved crossings for bikes and pedestrians at Myrtle Avenue is definitely needed. Down there, there's a bus stop in that vicinity near McFarland, and there's also there's a need for pedestrians to cross down there at that sag point, and the traffic is just going at a very high speed there. So I think and same goes for Boone. So this serves both transportation needs, and it serves as a recreational opportunity. So it's really a community asset, and it helps improve the public health. And I think it's going to make the city more attractive, to the active generation. We talk about the difficulty in attracting, and retaining doctors and nurses and our healthcare, and the vicinity of this facility to the hospital is going to be be a bonus for those people that work at the hospital, so they can recreate during their lunch and their breaks, or even their commute to and from work. And I live in that vicinity of the trail, so I definitely plan on using that when it's built. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks for being here, Brett. And it looks like Molly.
Hi, my name's Molly, and I volunteer with Bike Party Humboldt and Bike Month Humboldt, and I'm a frequent bicycle commuter. I bike every day, basically, in the city, and I'm very excited to see this project, especially because, well, I'm upset that I heard that you're not going to have protected bike lanes on Myrtle Avenue, and I polled everyone I know, and they're all terrified to ride a bicycle on Myrtle Avenue. When I lead rides that go down Myrtle Avenue, 2/3 of the participants will leave. They won't do it. So at least this is one way of connecting some different parts of town. So I'm super excited about that, and I hope that you'll also consider adding protected bike lanes on the other major thoroughfares, Myrtle Avenue, 14th Ave, Harrison, Henderson, because it increases safety, quality of life, and the environment, and makes our town better. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Do you see anybody else, Shannon?
I see no one else on Zoom. Oh, it looks like you have one.
So hang on, Patty. We're going to have one person in chambers, and then we'll come right back to you. Thanks for your patience. Hi.
Thank you, Mayor Brugel, for taking me late. I wasn't quite ready, but I am now. So
Well,
thank
welcome.
you for the opportunity. My name is Craig Benson. I'm Planning Commissioner for the City of Eureka, and I'm the Harbor Commissioner for Division 4, which includes Eureka and Samoa. I'm a professor at Cal Poly Humboldt in watershed science and ecological restoration, and I served 10 years on the Open Space Parks and Recreation Commission, particularly working hard on the Greenways and Gulches ordinance. So I'm very familiar with Eureka and love what the city does, support what the city does with my time and interest and talent. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on the Bay to Zoo Trail. Planning processes. My family are key landowners in segment 4 of the trail corridor, and 3 minutes is inadequate time for me to be able to tell you all my praises and support and concerns. But I want to provide you with verbal comments on the CEQA process to date that could be distributed at a later time. If you need me to email it to make it easier, I can do that. I just didn't know about tonight's meeting. In fact, I was called by someone in this chamber that it was going on. And so, to speak to public outreach, if the 80+ landowners who live along the right-of-way of the proposed trail were called, there'll probably be a line out the door right now. Just make note of that. But let me be transparent that I've, formerly worked professionally as a trail planner, as a designer, and as a contractor, safe routes to school advocate, watershed scientist, and ecologist, and program manager and director for the Redwood Community Action Agency, involved with the Hammond Trail, the Arcata to Eureka Trail, the Chagacho Trail, sections A and B of the Eureka Waterfront Trail, among many others. And so I'm really intimately familiar with multimodal transportation and multi-use trail planning. And hence, it should be no surprise how happy I am to hear about the funding. Excellent work on behalf of staff. And my family's in full support of the goals and the concept of the Bay to Zoo Trail. We're excited as a family to leave a legacy to the city of a right-of-way and have the trail go through our property. It doesn't make us very popular with our neighbors. And I've also worked many times with GHD and support the motion to hire them to continue the planning process. They've done nothing but great work. I'm already out of time. That said, I have some real concerns with the planning process, and if I boiled it down to one thing, I was really happy to hear that there's going to be more public outreach. That's what's really gone missing. I would hate to see this trail lose its momentum because of the landowners feeling bullied by the city to accept this trail no matter what. And I feel that the outreach has been grossly inadequate. And also to speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Actually, your time is up. So you could
provide my comments to you then.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, Patty, you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Hi. I just have to speak up. I'm really shocked that these funds are coming out of the Measure H Measure H funds. We aren't even fixing our roads. I mean, what are we doing? Why are we taking that money away from our streets in our city that need to be fixed? I know y'all are anti-vehicles, but people drive cars and every single day tires are getting blown out. I mean, on H Street the other day, a citizen went and put a cone in a pothole. It was so huge for safety. And so we're not even fixing the roads. We're not using the money that is there to fix our roads, but now we're going to defer it to a trail. I have huge concerns about that. And unfortunately, our community doesn't know how important it is to be here and speak up. Because I think if they did, you would have about 200 people down there right now once they realize where you're going to transfer these funds. I'd say start fixing the roads and then see how much money you have left. So think about that when you make your vote tonight, because I know you'll all be dodging potholes on your way home. And one last thing about that meeting the guy talked about regarding public speaking, I would like to make a formal request that the city council all attend. No more city council people calling their constituents assholes, no more mayor calling and hanging up. And you've got quite a few employees that are pretty vile on social media that work for the city of Eureka, as well as some of your commissioners. So let's start at the top, and I'll see you guys all there. Great, thanks.
Thank you, Patty. And it looks like we have one more. Philip?
Thank you. Full support for this effort, and I'll note that I believe that the use of Measure H funds are in alignment with the intent of Measure H. As the more people we get off the roads and onto multi-use trails, the less money we will spend on repairing the damage of vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Do you see anyone else?
I see no one else on Zoom.
Okay, seeing no one else and no one in the chambers, we'll close public comment and bring it back to council for comments or a motion. Councilmember Castellano?
Sure. Thank you for bringing forward the report. And, one of the questions I did ask staff after looking at the agenda, making sure that, there will be opportunities for public engagement with the hiring of GHD and moving forward. And so I'm really excited to see that moving forward. And, I completely understand that, we do things in cycles. And so I look forward to moving this forward as we go from here. We will also be continuing to improve roads, over the next few years. That the capital improvement plans and road improvement plans won't end because we're doing this project. This is, again, and thanks to the speaker who talked about this, gives people options to get off the roads or off of the roads for cars. And I look forward to how this will connect into other trails, and I know there's also some talk of the C Street area, whether it's that street or not, and it'd be great to have maybe a refresher at some time in the coming council meetings in terms of the overall trail plan, just so that the public has that on their radar. We're not to future council meetings yet, but it is, pertinent to this topic, so I'll bring it up here. With that, I really want to read the whole thing. Is that weird? I'm going to make a motion to receive the presentation on the Beta Zoo Trail, declare GHD the selected proposer for request for proposals RFP bid number 2024-9 for the Beta Zoo Trail consulting services, and authorize contract with GHD for engineering and planning consulting services for the Beta Zoo Trail in an amount not to exceed $1,700,000, and authorize budget allocation in the amount of $1 million from Measure H funds for the city's match to the Active Transportation Program ATP grant award for $8,999,000, authorizing Public Works Director to negotiate and execute applicable contracts and grant agreement documents.
Second.
Okay, do we have any further comments?
I do.
Councilmember Bauer.
Thank you for the motion. No, I get the public's concerns, and I appreciate Mr. Benson. There are 80 landowners there, and I think staff and myself will be happy to meet with, maybe as a group, maybe walk the alignment, but really want to see that the public is heard, through this process. To me, it's about getting kids to school safely. We got Zane, my kids went there. I know a lot of friends that have their kids that go there, and getting them, and to go with that too, in America, we have a obesity epidemic, and all I can think of is we need to get off the streets and on our feet, right? I mean, that's what America has to do to get healthy, and trails are a part of that. And there's going to be shared sacrifice that goes with that. People are going to be concerned about safety and have, it's something new. This is something, trails in our community are not new, but for a lot of people, when it runs, through their backyard, essentially, it's going to be new, and it's going to be challenging, and it's going to require us to all work together to make sure that it works for everybody, and especially for our kids. So I'm really excited that the 20 years have passed and we're on our way. And I think we can make this happen, in a good way for everybody. It benefits everybody. So I'm happy about it. I appreciate, understand the concerns of the public, and we will all work together to make sure that it's a shared vision for the city. and for its citizens. So I pledge that I'll help with that public process. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Fernandez absent. Unanimous yes vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to future agenda items. Anybody have any future agenda items? Councilmember Moulton.
Thank you. I was really impressed by the turnout to the town hall on January 23rd about the Jacobs campus. A lot of my neighbors showed up, along with some movers and shakers from the area. And if I'm honest, they all showed up ready for a fight, but that's not what happened. Instead, they all sat down and they talked face to face. They talked about their hopes and their dreams and their fears for the area. And all of that conversation was captured. Some on video, most of it on staff or on actual paper. And I think that's really, really valuable that we were able to do that and that we were able to capture all of that. So for a future agenda item, what I would like to propose is that staff give us a report on the findings from that town hall, along with a recommendation for rezoning the Jacobs campus. I would like for whatever happens in the future, as far as Eureka's development and growth, let this tiny little piece stand on a foundation of community input from the beginning.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano?
I do have a small request for a future agenda item, and that's just because the speaker happens to be here in the audience. There's a young speaker who spoke at the NAACP celebration of Martin Luther King Day that was really powerful and inspiring, and I think everyone in the room really appreciated the speech. And if the speaker is willing, and if council is willing, I think it would be great if the speaker came and shared that with council.
Great. Yay. Okay. Anything further? That's going to be awesome. Thank you for that. All right. Moving on to council reports. We're going to start with Councilmember Contreras DeLoach.
So I realized we have like a month, right, to report on. Yeah. Okay, so I got to do a Pathway to Payday, got to go visit with them. I love that program. It's one of my favorite things, is, this, they get to gather and, really help people kind of put things together and get prepared for how to do resumes and interviews and these different things. And it's just enormously successful. And it's really cool to see what a wide variety of people participate in it. It's very inspiring and it's just uplifting. I got to attend the town hall about the Jacobs property. I thought it was incredibly well done. People were, it had a huge attendance and people were very cooperative, and there was just a lot of input, and I was just really impressed with how it turned out. And I feel like we got a really good idea about what the community is hoping for and looking for. Went to the Greater Eureka Chamber Gala. That was really fun. And then just a couple of days after our last meeting, we had our Cal Cities Revenue Taxation Committee, and just want to give a quick report on what we talked about. One of the things we talked about that came from the Legislative Analyst's Office, so they're independent and bipartisan, and the difference in their deficit for California versus us. And there's a reason why I bring this up. From the governor's office, they're reporting about a $38 billion deficit, but the LAO, which is, like I said, independent and nonpartisan, is projecting actually about $68 billion. And there's a number of reasons for that. It's probably somewhere in the middle between those two numbers. One of the reasons for that may be because the state of California deferred tax payments, income tax payments. And so that meant that they really released their budget and kind of chose expenditures prior to knowing what their revenue was going to be coming in. But there's a reason why I think this is really important. As you probably have followed, there's going to be cuts to, funding that helps with homelessness. That certainly is going to impact a lot of people, including us probably. And cuts to funding for a number of different children's programs. One of the other things we talked about was a concern about clawbacks, and clawbacks are basically where, there's money that's promised, and then because there isn't money in the budget, they basically take back what you haven't used, which could also impact some things going forward. And then the other thing that they discussed, and I think that this is important as well, is that declining revenue that we have for our streets because electric vehicles they're not paying taxes at the pump like people with gas-powered vehicles. And so we've seen this kind of decline in revenue. So there's this push to ask the state to address that so that you don't have just gas guzzlers paying for road maintenance, and also that you're not losing these critically needed funds. As everybody always talks about, the reality is there just isn't enough money in the world to keep paving everything, and so this does not help. Anyway, so that's my report.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
And yet there's one more thing.
And there is going to be a public safety town hall upcoming on February 17th. And I know we have one more council before that, but I wanted to announce it now. And that is going to be with myself, Supervisor Arroyo, and our Chief of Police, or newly appointed Chief of Police, Chief Stevens. That will be here on the 17th. And that will also include Neighborhood Watch and somebody from the Sheriff's Department as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Bauer.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to attend the Trash Bash this weekend, and we filled a 20-yard dumpster full of 8,300 pounds of trash from the Bay Trail, and I guess it's a record according to one of our city staff for the amount. And I will say, probably a ton of that were pallets. And so, if you've got pallets, would you please not put them out where people can carry them away, because they're very heavy, and it's a bummer to have to throw away perfectly good pallets. But it was great. It was over 50 people. Maybe it was like 65. It was a ton. And we, there's still a lot more to do out there, but really appreciate, Pack Out Green Team and California Conservation Corps and all the citizens that came. I'd say it was fun, but it's not when you're just picking up things that are in wetlands, essentially. So it's kind of a shame, but was fun. I also want to give another shout out to the California Conservation Corps. We have a crew right now in Cooper Gulch removing invasive species. So if you happen to see them out there with chainsaws, it's okay. They're cutting down non-native species, holly, cotoneaster, all these things that are kind of taking over our park, which should be full of native species. So they're going to be in there tomorrow and probably in March too. So they're doing great things out there. We had a fire, a camp was in there and they caused a fire. So part of the work they're doing will help. Let's not have fires get into the homes along Cooper Gulch. So we're working on that, and they're doing a great job. I attended a Cal Cities environmental quality meeting, and so I represent the Redwood Empire on the Environmental Quality Committee, and we're just getting started. The legislative year starts ramping up about February, so we'll look at bills that may affect our city, may affect California's environment. Super interesting work, but it's just getting started, so pretty excited to do that. Chamber Gala, wasn't that like a week or so ago? That was great. Great time going to that and talking with our business community and everybody else that came. And I had a couple of Redwood Coast Energy Authority meetings. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Moulton.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any travel to report, but did attend a few meetings. The JPA meeting with Humboldt Bay Fire. Mostly at the last meeting, we just heard the same report that we heard tonight. Still very informative. Thank you. The Chamber Awards Gala. I just wanted to shout out to the Foggy Bottom Boys for winning Small Business of the Year, and the Betty Kwan Chin Foundation for winning the award for Positive Community Impact for a nonprofit. There were other great local businesses that were recognized as well. Good to see the business community out and socializing. We started up again with our Eureka City Schools 2x2s. So very happy to be back on that committee, and that is ramping back up again. We're going to be meeting a lot with the new superintendent and the board members over there and help coordinate efforts between the city and the city schools. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano.
Sure. I attended, as was mentioned earlier, Grant Elementary's 100th Day Parade. It was very fun to spend some afternoon time with the kids there at Grant Elementary. The Chamber Gala, continuing to meet with folks around housing. Let's see, I've been doing some work around the Northern California Association of Nonprofits. Attended Councilmember Moulton's town hall, and thanks to everyone for it re-inspired my appreciation for democracy. Attended Arts Alive, the Eureka Main Street strategic planning meeting, and it's great to have all the new board members there participating, and the Cal City's Housing, Community, and Economic Development Policy Committee.
Thank you. Well, I did have some travel. I traveled on Sunday during that lovely weather to go see Senator McGuire get sworn in as the 49th President pro tempore for the Senate. It was inspiring, is an understatement. It was just so amazing to I think my favorite part was his speech, which was magical. And then he honored his mother, his single mother, and his 8th grade English teacher. And I thought that was really neat. But it's going to, he's a great representative for our region, and I look forward to continuing to work with him. That was really cool. I missed the trash bash because why? That's right. I was running at Clam Beach, and that river was high, but I was 19 out of 48 in my age group, so I felt pretty good for not running and being able to run that. So, yeah, I can be a badass sometimes. And then that was my inside voice. And then so then I was at the dedication of the HCO Lee Little Library over at Hammond Park. They're doing one there and one at Ross Park. It's so sweet if you get an opportunity to go over. I was able to bring, Rob Ridenhour brought his class from College of the Redwoods, his class with developmental disabilities, and they came and toured a little bit about City Hall, and they had council meetings. And the topic that they wanted to talk about in their council meetings was weddings. I don't know. So we talked about weddings a little bit. Councilmember Contreras-Deloach got to meet them. It was a lot of fun. I too went to the Chamber Gala, which I just want to say it's always blows me away to see how many local people in our region have these amazing businesses, these niche businesses that you don't find everywhere. And I hope this month that we really take the opportunity to shop local and to support our local people, because you get so much more out of that than just a product, right? You get community and friendship and all that great stuff. And with that, last thing, best thing, got to attend Kindness Day over at Grant Elementary. And, it's so great to be working with these kids all the time and really watching them develop their skills for being kind and for being respectful and all of those things that we experienced, by the way, at Councilmember Moulton's Town Hall, which was phenomenal to see so many people in the room actually discussing things in a reasonable manner. It was wonderful. So with that wonderful moment, we are adjourned. Thank you.